coverage. On my radar. Hurricane coverage. On my radar.
Hey everybody, it's meteorologist Leslie Hudson. It's about 10:37. I think we have this live YouTube going, so I apologize. I had to run that open there for a couple of times. I was trying to get the stream going. I think we've got it going now. So I appreciate you hanging with us. We're trying to do a couple of things at once, so it's a little tricky trying to keep everything up in the air. But I did want to jump on here real quick and give you an update. We're going to get a full suite of new path and information from the National Hurricane Center anytime now. Between now and 11 p.m. We usually get it about 5 to 10 minutes ahead of time. And so if that comes available while we do this YouTube live, great. Hopefully it will. If not, we're going to have updates in the app. Of course, you can get the latest path from the National Hurricane Center inside the app itself, and we're also posting on social media, on Twitter and Facebook, and also here on YouTube. We're doing our daily forecast, and we'll be doing a little bit more live coverage on YouTube as we get closer towards landfall. But wanted to jump on here, get you some info, because it's been a really pivotal day for tracking Dorian today, and it really was the go day in terms of a change in the intensity track, a big change, a change in the path, and then now we're still seeing discrepancies from the modeling tonight in terms of where we're going to be looking at this system by Labor Day. So you can see over my shoulder is, of course, the live radar. I'm going to actually take that full so you guys can see it a little better than let me hang on one second. Then just seeing it over my shoulder, because I know a lot of folks probably want to see it a little better. So give me 1 second here. I got to clear another layer here, and hopefully that will do it. Let's see. Okay, I've still got one layer here I got to get rid of. So anyways, let me talk while you can see this, and I'll clear that other layer. So the one big thing that we noticed today was that, of course, Dorian got a lot better organized. It missed most of Puerto Rico. It missed the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and a lot of different scenarios that could have played out did play out. And so really, it's been an impressive day today in terms of just figuring out what this thing is going to do, and how big of an impact this cyclone is going to have on the United States in the coming days. So it's really been a very interesting scenario. For some reason, I'm having a difficult time moving this. Let me try one more thing here. Let me just move this out of the way, and I'll move that out of the way for now. I'm not sure why that's not clearing, but anyway, okay, so there's a look at the radar, and it's really been an interesting day, you guys. And when you look at this on the radar, you can see a couple of things that jump out at me that indicate that this is a really well organized system. So one, we see our eye right here. This eye is about 10 to 15 miles across. Another feature that we see that indicates that this is a well organized system is this inflow that's going into the core of that hurricane. So we're starting to see that wrap around. We don't see a full concentric circle around that eye, which would indicate that this is an extremely well hurricane, but it's well on its way. It is expected to be a major hurricane, as you guys know, when it makes landfall somewhere along the Florida coast, potentially on Labor Day. So all the features and all the elements are there in place to really get this into a very serious situation for folks. And here we go. So the 11 p.m. update did come in live, so that's great. I will tell you that my graphics are probably not going to be perfect because I haven't had time to modify this. So you're reading this live with me, right, guys? Right now, too, you guys. So the winds are up to 85 miles per hour, 19.7 north, 66.0 west, still moving northwest at 13 miles an hour. And by the way, that movement towards the northwest is expected for the rest of tonight and into tomorrow. It'll be likely well into several more days before we see that turn towards Florida. And the timing of that turn is really going to be critical in terms of what we're going to see and how this all plays out. So again, in the next 36 hours or so, it's really going to be a big, important turn for that ridge of high pressure to pick up Dorian and steer it back towards Florida or towards the southeastern U.S. So here's a look at the official path. Again, this is live. I haven't seen this yet, you guys. Seeing this with you. A couple of things that jump out at me. Let's see. I can't modify this right now because I'm in play mode. But the path, again, not too much of a shift. I'll tell you, the last 2 days, the National Hurricane Center has been stuck on not moving that path on days 4 and 5, which would be over the state of Florida. We did see big swings early in this forecast a couple of days ago that had Dorian completely missing the island of Puerto Rico, completely missing the island of Hispaniola, and threading that needle in between Puerto Rico and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. And that's exactly what happened. Now this thing's going to sit over open waters for about 4 days. And so it's got all the time in the world, no land, a good conducive environment in the atmosphere, very warm sea surface temperatures. So all the elements are there for the system to continue to grow. And that's what the National Hurricane Center is forecasting. So still forecasting a major hurricane. Sorry, guys, my nose is itching. As this system makes landfall, likely sometime Saturday and through the overnight hours of Sunday, and then moving into the west side of the state on Monday. Now, I know a lot of folks on Twitter and on Facebook are asking what happens after Florida. So I got to tell you, it's way too early to figure that out. We're still not 100% locked in on where this thing comes in on Saturday. Where the deviations in the path just a bit could mean big changes for large metropolitan areas. Central Florida is extremely populated. There are millions of people that live here. And so just slight deviations in the path could affect millions. So I will tell you that the long-range modeling does take Dorian at this point through the state and back into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. After that, it's, again, we're talking long range, more than a week or about a week from now or about 6 days from now. So it's really conjecture or guesswork at this point. But some of the models, again, trending back towards the Gulf of Mexico, maybe Louisiana, maybe Mississippi, maybe Alabama. So if you live in that area and you've got questions, what can you expect? Of course, we're going to tell you to stay tuned. Let's get through Florida's situation first, and then of course we'll of course tackle what's going to be happening after that with a potential second landfall. So there's a look at the watches and warnings. I'm not sure why my graphics are looking so pixelated right now, but here's a model that I started that I wanted you guys to look at. So this is the GFS. A real popular, reliable model. However, as you look at this as it approaches, this would be Monday at 3 a.m. You notice how Daytona Beach would have sustained winds around 70 miles an hour. I do think that's underdone, but it's just one model guidance. So I wanted to show you both the features of the actual winds as they came on shore, and then you can see some cities I selected there throughout the state. Jacksonville would be around 18. I think this model is not doing a great job on the winds, but I did want you to see the wind field, that area that you see with the magentas and the reds. This is what I was really kind of interested in you guys looking at as we head towards the weekend. So one guidance, and of course as we get in time, we'll see that forecast tweaked. This is a look at the recon data. So a great feature that we can get from the National Hurricane Center is real-time live data from the Hurricane Hunter aircraft as they're flying inside of Dorian. So this was about an hour ago. When I checked the last run, they had just gotten back inside Dorian. They do multiple flights, of course, ongoing, but this particular flight had winds right at 62 miles an hour, but it came in from the south. So that's typically the weaker side of a hurricane. So I wasn't surprised to see a lower wind field here, but the pressure was 982, which is in alignment with what we're seeing now. So they come in from all different quadrants of the hurricane. They'll come in from the south, they'll come in from the north, the east, and the west, and sample the air and put dropsons, which are wind profilers, barometric pressure profilers, atmospheric profilers. They drop that actually in the center of the hurricane. It goes straight down to the ocean, lands in the ocean, but it's sampling the atmosphere as it goes down. It's a fundamental tool in hurricane forecasting, and we could not do, or the Hurricane Center could not put together their modeling without it. So it's a really, really great tool that the Hurricane Center gets to use. Okay, so here's a look at this. I've been talking about this on Facebook. I don't know if you've been catching those, or perhaps in the app. I've been talking about these two models, the GFS and the Euro. Both of those models did very well last couple of hurricane seasons. I use these two models every year because they consistently perform well. But I wanted to show you you the discrepancies even with this as we head through the next couple of days. So the GFS is the one up top, the Euro is the one on the bottom. Two steering currents that we're going to be watching, upper level low that's over the Bahamas, and a ridge of high pressure that's above it to the north off the Carolinas. It's the Bermuda High. It's the high pressure center that we deal with all this time of the year. So I'm sorry if I'm looking down. I'm just making sure that I'm not reading that everyone's got there's no major issues with my audio. But anyway, and if you've got some questions, I'll read them when I take this YouTube live down. But again, so go back to these models. This is the latest run. I just got this in within this last hour. So notice the GFS kind of trending towards the north and scooting up the coastline of Florida. And then the Euro, much more aggressive with that hard left towards South Florida. So this again shows the modeling. This was completely different from last night. As we get closer to the United States, or Dorian gets closer to the United States, I should say, we're going to continue to get more upper air soundings from the National Weather Service. They send weather balloons up every 6 hours. You may have seen those big giant balloons at your local executive airports, and those actually take samples of the atmosphere, and those results are actually put into a big supercomputer, again, spits information out, and that also helps the National Hurricane Center come up with their guidance in these models that I'm showing you now. These spaghetti plots are all these different models. So the Clipper, the HUR is another one, aviation, GFS, all of those big players in steering with trying to extrapolate where this hurricane goes. But again, the key messaging we want you guys to hone in on, at least for the duration here, is that Dorian continues to strengthen. We've seen that tonight at 11. Winds are now at 85 miles an hour. It's forecast to be a major hurricane, Category 3. Florida and the Southeast still need to keep an eye on this. There is going to be fluctuations in this path, you guys. But if you live in Florida, there is a state of an emergency that has been declared by the governor that goes into effect tomorrow. So one of the things that does is it helps lift all the paid tolls along the highways and the expressways. It also opens up more money from the government to help people on the ground that need help with evacuations, and city officials and county officials. So it frees up state funds. So there will be a lot of movement tomorrow from government officials to try and get the state ready. So the fact that we're going to be dealing with that, and then likely evacuations will be following soon after. I do expect to see those, if not tomorrow, certainly by Friday, but I think we'll start to see those on Thursday. And then I just wanted to reiterate that this Central Florida landfall, if the current path holds, and again I say if, because don't follow the little red line, but if that holds, that would be an extremely rare, unprecedented, never happened major hurricane that would make landfall in Brevard County in eastern central Florida. So since the Hurricane Center's been keeping records in 1851, it's never happened. So extremely unprecedented, very rare. Still going to see some nuances to the forecast, especially when I'm seeing some splits in the modeling. So stay tuned. But Floridians and Georgians, I think is how you say it, and folks in the Carolinas all need to be ready, and that margin of error is large. It's 200 miles to the left or the right of the center of the path. So a lot of folks, the entire state of Florida, under that cone of uncertainty. And then after that, of course, that path goes over into the Gulf of Mexico, or to the Gulf Coast states. So a lot of folks, millions of people, got to keep an eye on this thing. This is a look at the estimated arrival of the winds, by the way. So Saturday night, we would for sure see almost all of the state with some type of wind. Are they going to be sustained hurricane winds? No. The sustained hurricane winds are in that small hurricane eye wall that's about 15 miles across, 10 to 15 miles across. So as you extend out from the center of Dorian, the winds decrease. So we anticipate that most of the state would be getting tropical storm force winds in gusts for sure from the Keys. A lot of folks in the Keys have been asking me about the forecast. For sure, you'll be getting 20, 30 mile sustained, gusts on this current path. Folks in Central Florida will be getting much more. Northeast Florida will be getting much more because they'll be on the northeast side of the hurricane. So this is just a guidance, and this will really become much more crystal clear and will materialize when we get within 24 to 36 hours. So if you're wanting to know when the winds are coming, how bad they're going to be, this is a good guideline, but specific hour by hour forecasting, that will come when this hurricane gets a lot closer to land. But this is a good guidance to show you that we'll still be dealing with tropical storm and hurricane force winds well into Labor Day. And a lot of people are headed to Florida for Labor Day. It's a popular destination where we are here in Orlando. Of course, Disney World is here, and millions of people visit that park and all of our parks, SeaWorld and Universal, every day. So it's a big deal. A lot of folks are going to be impacted by Dorian as it approaches. There's a look at our radar and satellite. I wanted to show you that from the last 24 hours, getting a real nice, clean, crisp picture on the infrared from the GOES satellite. And of course, we're getting radar out of San Juan, Puerto Rico, now really showing a well-defined system. Remember, though, there is going to be a time here where we're going to, as it gets a little closer to the U.S., that some of the radar returns won't, the ground-based radar returns, I should say, not what we're using with the imagery with GOES satellites, but the ground-based radar, some of that's going to be a little less clear as we get in time, as it gets a little closer to the U.S., and then it picks back up. So a lot of times people say, hey, why did the radar fall off the screen? It didn't fall off the screen. It's just out of range, the ground-based radar. So just keep that in the back of your mind if you happen to see the radar and you're not sure what's going on. Okay, so that's all the maps I had. I just wanted to do a quick update. So I'm glad that we did this YouTube live together and saw the info together. Got new info. Again, sustained winds now up to 85 miles an hour. Dorian expected to be a 90-mile-per-hour hurricane tomorrow, becoming a Category 2 and then a Category 3 after that. Okay, I think that'll do it for now, you guys. It's late. We're going to sign off now. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, make sure that you do, and click the bell so you can get our notifications when we are going live. We do plan to start increasing our live coverage on YouTube more so tomorrow, and especially Friday and Saturday. We'll be going live in the app as well. You should be getting notifications on that. When you launch the app, you'll see a little box in the bottom right-hand side of your screen, and I'll probably be there, hopefully giving you some good information to help you stay safe if you live in the target zone of Dorian. And we'll also be on Facebook, and we'll also be on Twitter. All right, I think I nailed all the major things that we needed to cover tonight. Hey, you guys, I really appreciate you stopping in, and I hope you have a safe night. If you're in Florida, I hope you are well into your preps and that you get some sleep tonight and you're ready to hit the ground running tomorrow. Have a great night.